Good morning, everybody. This is Daniel Whited on the Roads of America, and with Dr. Kirk Fisnick, who's always on the roads, somewhere doing something with friends, family, kids, business partners, and always, every day, helping people with their health. This is a doctor's clinic call where the world is your waiting room. And, Doc, we have a lot to discuss today. Good morning and welcome to the call. And what is the first thing on your mind, Doc, that you can share with everybody?
What's the first thing on my mind today? Man, I'll tell you what.
Shared, by the way.
Yeah, I woke up this morning, and something I can share. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Well, I woke up this morning, and I'll tell you what, DW, I was just so happy I was on top of the ground instead of underneath it. That was my first thought of today.
Well, my granddad said that, man, any day you wake up, you're above ground. He goes, you're doing just fine. Then I moved to Indianapolis, Indiana area, and any day you woke up and there wasn't a white chalk line around your body, you were doing great. So, and I'm just having fun there, just having fun. But that's what we are talking about is, you're going to live. Why not live at optimal health? You're going to live. Why not have your body running like a fine-tuned machine? Why not listen to what's going on with it and start tweaking some things so you can make a massive impact in your life? And, Doc, I mean, I don't know where to start today. I know you got some things on your heart, but, what's going on with the HPL? And we've got people that already have the SiselRipt in their system. And someone called me yesterday and they said, I've taken a few doses in the last 2 days, and the massive tightness of their muscles that they even had a massage person try to release. It would release for just a while and then return back to, tighter than a banjo and, in their back and shoulders. They said, I don't want to speak too soon. However, the muscles are starting to loosen up. And, Doc, we got our hands on something here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we were talking about that on the conference call that I put together last night, I had Thomas on there, and Thomas the Third, and he was talking about the RIP product, and I tried to do a lot of reading up on it in the last week, and I read an article about the formulation in a muscle and fitness magazine, and they were talking about how this new formulation helps speed up the production of muscles, and Thomas really nailed it on the head last night, explaining it in a way that most of us just don't get the right amino acids. And for those of you folks that don't understand amino acids, the amino acids are the building blocks that make protein. Muscle is protein. And so when you eat a steak, right, I mean, it's meat, it's protein, right? But your body doesn't absorb proteins. It doesn't use protein. Your body can't take proteins and use it somewhere. What it does is it breaks the protein down into amino acids, and then it uses the amino acids. Well, so if you're not eating the right food, right, you're not absorbing the right food. It's not necessarily that you're not eating it. Maybe you're just not absorbing it, but you're not getting the right amino acids into your body. Your muscles they're not gonna build the way that they're supposed to, and then like Thomas was saying last night, then your body needs amino acids for other things besides muscle, like, for example, neurotransmitters. We were talking about neurotransmitters last night. Those are the chemicals that are in your brain that make your brain function. So which one's going to take higher need? Is the brain function is going to have higher need than having stronger muscles. So what happens is that if you're deficient on amino acids, your body's going to steal it from the muscle, and it's going to use it in other places. And so what can end up happening is you can actually have some atrophy of the muscles. And it's interesting, I was reading some studies, and they were saying that they took and did an experiment, and they advertised for people. They said, hey, you guys want to come apply for this job. The job requires you to lay in bed for a month and do nothing. We'll feed you. We'll do everything. All you do is get up and go to the bathroom, and other time you just lay in bed. And, of course, DW, you can imagine, hundreds of people apply for that job. Who wouldn't want the job laying in bed for a month, right? But they found out that it really wasn't that good of a job, because after a matter of a couple of days, the muscles start to atrophy away and they started to get weak. And at the end of the month, they were weaklings. And then the experiment really is that, well, let's give you these amino acids and see how fast the muscles will build back up. And like you were saying, people are noticing within days that their muscle tone is coming back, because they're supplying those essential amino acids back into the body that the body needs. Pretty crazy.
Well, what took when it comes to this particular research, it seems like it's taken us for years to figure out something that appears to be simple, but it's not as simple as it sounds, is it? It's more complex, but we can explain it simply. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Is that they've looked at it and they've said for years. I mean, remember back in the 60s, 70s? Oh no, you don't need fats, and cut them out of your diet, and we're just going to do this over here and get rid of that. And we've tried to go that route, and what they're finding is that just a good, well-rounded, balanced diet. But we destroy so much of the food too, that when you take and you microwave meat, for example, you destroyed some of those bonds. You destroy some of the amino acids inside the meat, because that radiation from the microwave oven changes the structure of those proteins, changes the structure of those amino acids, and maybe that's part of the problem, because so many places they do microwave the meat, or maybe to make it last longer in the grocery store, maybe they hit it with radiation. It's we're just not getting the wholesomeness, what we used to get with the quality of our food.
Well, I mean, food does help, but I will tell you this: you've heard me share it, and several people have. The nutrition is not in the food because it's not in the soils. I mean, land was meant to be farmed for a year, maybe 2 years, and then rest anywhere from 2 to 5 to 7, depending on what you're farming, so that it could replenish itself with the nutrients needed. And we don't rest the land anymore. We got people that have organic gardens, but they've been doing the same garden in the same place in the same spot for 35 years. And I will tell you this: the food tastes the same, it looks the same as what our great grandparents had. It's not the same. Spinach and it used to have it was 57% iron, and now it's down to like 8%. Wheat used to be 47% protein, down to 7% protein in it. And it goes on and on and on. You can go through each vegetable, each fruit, and look at what it was versus what it is. So therein lies the disconnect with the body. The body thinks it's getting the same food, smells and tastes like the same thing, but the nutritional value on a micro scale is not there. So the amino acids are coming into the body. Now, it has, like we discussed last week, the SiselRipt has, out of the 20 amino acids that the body needs, it has 9 essential ones. Does it have any more than the 9, or just 9 essentials?
The 9 essentials that your body can't make. Yep, and that's what essential means. Like when we talk about essential minerals, like in the Spectrum Act, those are minerals that you have to have. And with the 9 essential amino acids, it means that your body can't make them. The other amino acids, your body can take other amino acids and put them together and make the amino acids. In this case, with the essential amino acids, you have to get them from your diet.
Okay. So, essential means also non-negotiable. You have to have them in your system.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the ones the body can't produce, plus we have the ones that which are the same set of amino acids. Out of those, what are you expecting? Let me put it this way: based on your research, and our product may have showed up last night, but we're not home to get it. So I think our kids are running over tonight or whatever to see if it's there. But out of the product that's out there and is available, and in it, what are you expecting to see happen with this product with people? Now, let's break it down. let's take you and I. We've changed our lifestyle quite a bit this year, you know, and, you know, we've lost some initial weight. You know, we got goal number 2 to hit and kind of reset from the summer and the whole bit. What do you expect to happen with, say, you and I, for an example?
Yeah, well, and that's really a good question, because that's where it starts. You know, what's it going to do for me so that I can be my own testimonial on the product? So January 3rd, I started a workout program. I started working out. I haven't been to the gym in years. You know, I just didn't do it, and got away from it. My 3 boys, I've got 3 kids, and they're. I mean, my oldest one, he spends 3 hours a day in the gym. And my other 2, they go to the gym every day, and they're hiking and things like that, just like I like to do. But as you get older, what happens is that, you know, we gain weight, right, 3 to 4 pounds a year after the age of 50. But at the same time, that's not muscle. You're losing muscle because your body starts to just not build it as fast. You don't have the right enzymes. You don't have the right cofactors. You don't have the right diet. And you know, typically your lifestyle changes to the point after a certain age, that you're not as active. You're not, you know, doing the heavy lifting. So your body really doesn't need all the muscle mass. And really, you know, and this, hopefully it sounds right, but I'm going to say it the way that I kind of think, is that, you know, your body's kind of, in a way, after a certain age, you know, whether it might be, some people might be 50, some people might be 60, some people might be 80, who knows? But what's happening is that the body's preparing your body to you know, turn back into dust, you know, no matter what religion or spiritual thoughts you have, but, you know, from dust to dust. And so you start to decay from the inside out. And so your muscle starts to you know, get less. You have less muscle. So what happens is that all of a sudden here we have a product that it says it kind of turns on that part of the brain again. It says, wait, we're not dying. We're not getting ready for preparation to be put back in the ground. And so we have these amino acids that trigger your brain to say, hey, we still want to keep that muscle mass. And so that's really what I see, is that, you know, I'm going to the gym, and like Thomas was talking about last night on the call, it's gonna make my body so that I'm gonna build muscle faster than what I would have on my own, and because it's supplying the right ingredients, right? We're not tricking the body. We're not using a steroid. We're not using something like a drug that tricks your body into doing something that it's not supposed to. Because that's what a drug does. Is a drug triggers your body to do something that it wouldn't normally do. What we're doing is we're giving the body amino acids. We're giving the body something that you normally get in your diet anyhow. When you eat a steak, when you drink a glass of milk, when you eat an egg, you know, when you eat any kind of protein, your body breaks those proteins down into the amino acids. We're just taking and isolating the ones out that Dr. Wolf found triggers the body into making lean muscle. And so by going to the gym, yeah, I expect that by the springtime, you know, by my birthday, which is what my original goal was, that I'm going to be back down to really my college weight. And so I've got another 40, 50 pounds that I want to take off. And I really feel that I'm going to be able to do that. The RIP product's going to help me, along with the Siseline, because that was one of the questions I had for Thomas last night. Well, where does that fit? Where does the Siseline fit? So the Siseline is still, it's fiber. It's a product that's going to make you feel full. It's going to give you some extra proteins. And what the RIP product will do is it'll make it so that now we can take those whey proteins from the Siseline, and our body can utilize them that much better. I forget the higher percentage that was mentioned, but your body will be able to utilize those proteins better from the protein shake in the Siseline. And if you're eating a diet like I had eggs for breakfast, my body will be able to use the protein from the eggs more efficiently. Tonight I'm going to have some elk steaks, and my body will be able to use that protein more efficiently and to build muscle. So I fully expect that by springtime I should have a good lean physique. As far as one of the things that I see as a physician is that I attend all these conferences. I went to an anti-aging age management conference in April, and most of the latest research, they're saying now that they're finding that is so important, that you have to keep your muscle, your skeletal muscle built up. If you go back 5 years ago, and the same conferences that I went to 10 years ago, they were saying that it was all cardiovascular muscle tone was the important thing, because they said if you keep your cardiovascular system in shape, you got aging beat. Well, now they're saying that that's only part of the picture. That's an important part of the picture, but it's only part of the picture, because the skeletal muscle, they found that when your skeletal muscle is strong, it stimulates good brain activity, and it stimulates what you and I talked about almost a year ago when we had the talk on neurogenesis. If somebody wants to go back to the SiselDoctorClinic.com, they can listen to that. And we did a talk on neurogenesis, and basically we said that if your muscles are atrophying away, you're going to start losing brain function. You're going to start having early dementia. You're going to start having Alzheimer's and things like that. And so not only is having the good muscle strength important for having muscle strength, but it's good for the brain, for keeping good brain function. The other thing is that there's kind of a law of physiology that I learned way back 32 years ago, where they said that bottom line, it comes down to if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And what they meant was that if you're not using the muscle, they're gonna atrophy. But what happens is that if I don't have good, strong muscles in my arms and legs, what's going to happen is that the body says, Kurt's not using those anymore. We don't need to have as strong of bones anymore. So all of a sudden the bone starts to lose its calcification. It starts losing that bone matrix. And so not only are the muscles getting weaker, but now the bones are getting weaker. And when the bones get weaker, then kind of through a biofeedback system, it tells the brain that, hey, we got to make those we don't have to have as strong ligaments anymore, because we're not pulling on the muscle as much. We're not pulling on the bone as much. So then you start to having that. So what I see, what I'm forecasting is that as we build the muscles, we're going to see people having stronger bones. We're going to see people having less joint problems, because the body's going to say, hey, we don't want to wear that joint out, because Kurt's still working out. He's still lifting these heavy weights. We don't want to have a decreased a joint. And that's the cool part about the body. Like I could take a rock and throw it at my plasma TV set, and it's not going to repair itself. It's going to have a crack in it, and TV might still work. I'm able to watch a TV program, but it's going to have a crack in it, and it doesn't matter how many times I turn that TV on and off, I'm not going to wake up and find that it repaired itself. The amazing part about the human body is that if we tear up a muscle, give it time, your body's going to repair it. That's the cool part. Isn't that cool, DW?
That's real cool. So that's my other question. I mean, we've got our buddy like Rick Lang who had that massive stroke, and it really zapped his left thigh muscle, massively. And he has seen so much progress in the last 6 months with slamming the Sisel products at it. And so a little bit of research he was telling me about yesterday that he did on the RIP product. He feels it's going to go in there and help support the healing and the restoration of that muscle. Is that something he should be excited about, or is that an overreach?
Well, I think he's definitely on the right track, because if he's using the age pill, based on the science that I read from University of Iowa and from Harvard, says that and it's not research on our product. I want to make sure that I point that out to people. It's research on the active ingredients that are in our product. So we're using the right ingredients that do have research, and the research says that the ingredients can cause some regeneration of nervous tissue. Well, let's face it, with a stroke, what a stroke is that's when the nervous system has been compromised because it didn't get the right blood supply to those nerves, and the nerves died. And so the age pill has the right ingredients based on the research that says that these extracts should help repair those nerves, right? Again, I can't say our product because we don't have science on that. We're not doing that kind of research. And then once the nerves are working good and they're sending the signal, you're sending the right impulse down the nerve and sending that impulse down to the leg, you bet those muscles that had atrophied from again, no use, don't need them. If there's no use of them, then the body just slowly takes them away. And so what the age pill or what the RIP product should do is it should trigger that muscle to come back in full strength. So yeah, I totally agree with what he's thinking.
Well, and you had the full restore, which he's taken quite a bit of that triangle, and obviously the age pill, and then he started on the RIP the last couple of days. So that's exciting, Doc. I mean, that's
Well, and I think that one of the things that somebody called me yesterday, and she said, well, I'm not even going to start taking the age pill. And I said, why is that? She said, well, because when you and I are doing these calls, we're making it sound like we have to take the RIP product. If you're taking the age pill, you got to take the Eternity. If you're taking the age pill, you got to take the Body Shield. If you're taking the age pill, you got to take the Full Restore. And I said, oh, no, don't think that way. The age pill on its own has some amazing properties, but it's just going to be enhanced that much more. So think of it kind of like the age pill. I was trying to come up with a good analogy. I always like analogies. Think of the age pill as kind of being like the spindle on a wheel. You have to have that one. That's the spindle, and everything else is kind of spinning around that. And so when you take a look at it, the Full Restore, it's one of the spokes on the wheel, right? The Eternity, it's another one of the spokes on the wheel. The Fucoin is another one of the spokes on the wheel, and the RIP product is another one of the spokes on the wheel. And so you really have to say to yourself, you find out, okay, if I'm like me, I'll use myself. I had that horrible motorcycle accident 10 years ago. I've got some things that I need to work on that I'm going to go after. So I'm going to use the products that I feel are going to help me the best. Somebody like Rick, where he's had a stroke, he needs to go after some different ingredients because he has different things going on in his body that he has to repair. So I think the age pill being kind of that spindle, that hub, and everything else comes out from there. In your case, where you had that massive infection, you've got other things going on that you need to go after, and I really think, again, think of the age pill as kind of being the hub, the spindle, and everything else coming off of that.
Well, I love it. I mean, it's it's kind of, you build a foundation. I kind of look at it like this. You build a house, and you have no roof on the house, and a rainstorm comes, you're going to get blasted. You can also go ahead and put some plywood up there, and a rainstorm comes, and it's going to leak like crazy. You can put some felt on the house, and you even got another layer of protection. But, man, when you throw on that heavy-duty shingles on top of that house, it can be toasty warm in there, and you can be totally safe from the elements that would normally harm you, hurt you. And so sometimes our body's under a storm, and we come in there and we give it the extra support that it needs to get through that storm, get through that challenge, like what you said with the leg that I went through, or that bacteria. That was a big deal, and there are some residual things that happened there, and I'm just real curious, what to do. So people get to choose what they want to do, but if you want optimal health, one supports the other. Tom has gone through this thing and went, well, what better could support you? Okay, so the Fucoiden's doing this, and the Eternity's doing that, and Spectramax is doing this other thing, and what could better support them? Well, then you come in with the Full Restore, or you come in with the age, and muscle is, you just said something pretty doggone cool, and left religion out of it, so to speak. But your body, it's undeniable. It'll go back to ashes. It'll go back to dust from whence it was once formulated. But so that was pretty good observation. It does that whether, no matter what you believe religious wise, that's what's going to happen to it. And so the decaying process starts, and and a lot of us feel, based on some of the research I've done, Doc, the body shouldn't start that process till you're about 110 years old, maybe 100 years old. And it seems like in a lot of people it's starting in their 40s and 50s. And that's interesting. It's been accelerated, where, we can give it the proper nutrition and stop the acceleration and the degeneration and put ourselves in a position to where it could be back to where it's supposed to be.
Yep, and that's really the goal. You just said a mouthful there, is that we're not trying to say, hey, look, let's take somebody who and kind of disallow the laws of nature and make somebody live, really beyond their time. All we're doing is we're saying, hey, let's optimize the system that's already there. Let's make the body's own system work the way it's supposed to, so that we can live that optimum health to our genetic potential.
Well, I think that's awesome. I think people's got some things to chew on here just a little bit. We'll get into more of it next week, because we'll have probably some more case study testimonies to talk about. Once I get to Pennsylvania, I'm still in Katie's box of the SiselRipt. I told her, I said, you better overnight you some more, because what you have is gone once I get there. So, Doc, we thought we'd have it before we left. It just didn't happen. Dr. Fiznick, you are such a delightful person, and Miss Helen and I love you bunches. We count it a joy to have you as one of our best friends. We count it a joy to get to do the doctor's clinic call with you, and we appreciate you, just so you know.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way. It's the whole thing about working with this company like this is that everybody needs to work together and figure out how does it all meld together, right? Because we all have different specialties on what we can do, and being I'll say a pseudoscientist, a citizen scientist, I guess is what they're officially calling us. We're going out and we're hearing about, hey, what about this, and we go research the heck out of it, right? And and that's really what we're seeing in the world today. Some people really, they might be just the guy off the street, but they do their research, so they understand how these products work. And so, I think that's the beauty of this call, is that we're trying to bring that information to people. Maybe some of the stuff that we say, it sparks an interest in you. Go, hey, I got to go find out more about that, and we can really make that happen.
Well, and we're on it, man. We're on it. We appreciate you, Doc. That's going to be it for the Doctor's Clinic call today. You can push this number out and share it with some of your friends and family, and let them know that it's time to spoil their muscles with the proper amino acids and nutrition they need with Sisel International's TLC products for the muscles. The SiselRipt and Siseline as well, along with what we have with the A.G.E pill, and definitely the Triangle of Life. Those are just some simple suggestions. Doc, we can't discount the Omega Pluses and some of the other stuff we have our hands on. Everybody, we love you. We'll get back into talking about more products next week and maybe some case study testimonies. You need to go ahead and just email your questions or call your questions in to Dr. Kurt Fiznick, and we'll be glad to address those as we go forward. That's it for the call. Right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.